are live. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and good morning from the US. I am back again with my lovely and dear friend and also a mentor, Mr. Saurav Mohanty. And today is quite an exciting topic, which I have been discussing a lot with few of my friends, and I'm sure all of you have this in your mind on how do we say no and the art of saying no, and sometimes that entire feeling of being guilty when you do say no. And recently, Leo, our CEO, mentor, my dad, spoke about an action of taking in the action challenge saying, let's say no. Thinking about this, we thought we will discuss today on how we can go about this and how we can follow this in our lives. Now, before we start, a question to all our viewers out there. You can maybe write in the comment section or write in a sheet of paper. What are the feelings that you experience when you do say no to someone? Be it at work when you have to take up a project, or when you say no to a parent or to your child. What feelings do you undergo when you do say no? Take a moment, write it down on a paper, or even better, comment below and let us know. We can come around it at the end of the session. We'd love to listen to you. Let's begin. My name is Krisma Lobo, and I guess I haven't introduced myself. That's it. So, Saurav, is there anything you'd like to say?
Hi, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the Exodia show again on the Sundays. And we wish you a very, very pleasant interaction here. Thank you, Prisma, for the nice words. And what is interesting is we've been in this reality all our lives. We've been hearing of challenges, of issues, and of the need to say no many number of times. And this has been discussed at length in various forums, in various situations. And as you said, I'm sure all our viewers must be curious to know why again? Why are we saying this? The need to say no yet again. But believe you me, many of us still face this challenge. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's something which can be done immediately. But is there a way of learning this? Is there something that we can do to say no when required, when needed? And I repeat, when required, when needed. Yes, we can. Would people like to learn about it? There's always an opportunity. And this is what I've been experiencing in the last maybe 20 years that I've been coaching and training people, that people do have this need to say no to have a balance in life, be it at work, be it in the personal space, be it from friends, from colleagues, from neighbors, and very often from people who have a degree of power or authority above us. Then becomes even more difficult. So I'm so happy that we've chosen this topic today. And well, last time when somebody asked me to do this, I said no for good reasons. And today I'm happily and willingly in this discussion. Thank you. Thank you.
That's right. Before I dive into it, uh, reason let's start sharing an experience maybe on where we faced a situation where we didn't say no and we started feeling terrible about it, or maybe even stressed. Because it's true that sometimes it's fine to say yes. It's great to say yes, right? Definitely not wrong to say yes. At the same time, how do we feel when we say no, or we say yes at the wrong time? How has that situation come out for you? Has there been a point?
Okay, let me put it this way. It's not easy. And I never found it easy to say no in my younger days, at least. But then when I started learning and I started picking it up, I realized that there is a need to say no when required. Otherwise, it could have far-reaching consequences. Now, let me share a very interesting episode that happened. I mean, it can happen to anybody for that matter. Uh, I do my consulting business. Therefore, I'm with my clients on selected days when I'm engaging with them on a workshop or a lab or any kind of coaching assignment. So it's but natural that on a given day I cannot be at two clients' places at the same time, and the clients could be equally important, very very kind of committed engagements. But then if both of them demand my time on the same day, I have to say no to one.
That's
You're
right.
getting my point. So on a given day, I just can't be at two places. And that's when I realized how tough it was to say no to both these clients, or at least one of them. But
Yeah.
then I had to learn. So that's when I started using all the resources that I could have to gather. I spoke to various people. I went through various courses myself, browsed over the net, and in fact, one of the biggest lessons I learned was from my NLP guru in of those days. Richard McHugh, who taught me through this big exercise that there is a need to understand and respect what I need to do.
That's right.
So what I'm stressing here
Um,
is there is always a need, and we need to understand ourselves of two important points. Physically, Krishna, physically, we are one. There's one body, one mind. I
yeah.
cannot be in two
In
places
two places.
at a given point in time. I can't be, at home and at work at the same place. And if I recognize that, then I need to, be okay to say no to one of those. Well, there are things that we prioritize on that, but that's a different story. But the first thing is recognize this need that we
Yeah.
cannot be at two places at a given point in time.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's the
And
first need that I would say is something which we need to recognize.
yeah.
The second need is which everybody talks about in a different way, that we've got only 24 hours in a day. We can only do that, that much. We can't be stretching ourselves beyond a point if
Yes.
we have to do so many things within those 24 hours. Unless until we say no to some activities or yes to some, we'll always be stretched. And these two
That's
pointers have been my strong lessons. And that's how I
definitely
realized how to say no.
beautifully said. Like understanding your priorities and what you need at that moment, right? Um, Say you are doing something with a client, or even you want to spend that important time with your family, and something tempting comes across, and maybe you haven't spent time with your family. What is your priority then? Do you want that situation to grab and take it and not spend time with your family? Or, I mean, it is a balance of what you want at that moment, right? Your priorities. I guess
Absolutely.
understanding your priorities is where we can start first, and understanding yourself. Where do you want to be in a few years' time? Right? Do you want that healthy relationships with your friends and family and at work? And how would you like to lead yourself there? I'm sure there have been so many times that we've all got these tempting opportunities to do something exciting. And like for me, example, like I was so caught up in like I was so excited about Exodia coming online because I got to give my input here, right? Because I'm here in the US and I really couldn't work physically in India, and I was so excited, and I got fully involved in making videos, and I thought, and sadly, I was actually not spending time with my family here, and
Hmm.
it was really hard. And I said, Ari, what on earth am I doing? I guess it's time to just say, no, let me go out for a travel. Let me do something. And I took that time and said, it's all right. It's all right if things don't happen at work. It's all right. Things will still move on. And I can take my time and sit back and enjoy my life as well. I guess we need to take that step. The idea is to create boundaries on what you can do, on what you can say yes to. Right? By saying no to something, you are saying yes to so many other things.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. In fact, Prisma,
Yeah.
you've hit on three very important points. And thank you for bringing that up. One is priorities. Yes. we need to prioritize what is it that we're going to pay attention to, right? And there will be pulls and pushes. There'll be challenges. You'll be stretched. There'll be demands of you at the same time to be able to pay attention to everybody. And like you said, if I'm with my family and again I get a call from one of my clients, or and I need to move out one from one to the other, that's my priority. It's for me to recognize that and decide. And that's what I keep saying again and again. It's for each one of us to decide and be okay with it,
Yeah.
right? And then that's what you said. The other thing which I liked was, I mean, if you look at the way we prioritize our things, it's our responsibility. So am I taking responsibility of my decisions, my choices? Very often we keep blaming,
Absolutely.
that client is somebody who doesn't listen to me at all, always keeps putting pressure on me. My family members expect a lot of stuff from me. My siblings want my time. My neighbors want my time. Yeah, they do. Ultimately, it's our choice, our responsibility. So, yes, these factors do matter. What is it that I'm risking when it comes to my relationship with my family, with my office, with my client, and with the people around me, right? Not only the relationship, the other thing is the time that I have. How much of time can I give to each one, and how and when? The third thing is, therefore, what are the priorities and what is the consequence of taking a decision? If I were to move out from a family meeting to a client meeting, there are consequences of both the kinds. And like you
Yeah.
said, when you say no to something, you say yes to something else. Actually, it's the other way around. When you say yes to something, you say no to a lot of other things. So if you're clear on what you want to say yes,
Yes.
then your life becomes that much more simpler. Take that decision yourself. Now, how do you want to say that to somebody? That's a skill. That's something one can learn. But the first
Yes.
lesson is in we accepting this, responsibility and saying, yes, I am deciding what I want. And
That's
that
correct.
itself is a big, big step.
Correct. Absolutely. Like understanding what you want and your priorities. I absolutely agree with that. Now, coming back to my question that I asked the viewers on how do you feel when you say no? My second question is how do you feel when you listen to a no? When someone tells you no, how do you feel then? Is it annoyed, irritated, frustrated, or array, it's okay. Like it's natural to say no. It's all right to say no. How do we feel? So take a moment and maybe comment below again and let us know how do you feel when you listen to a no. Now coming back to the art of no, I feel also our conditioning plays a biggest role in our on how we communicate and how we think. How have our parents groomed us, or how we've been brought up as children? We've been, it's true that we are shown to give respect to our elders and things like that. What do you have, what input do you have on this sort of?
Yes. That the main, I would say, embedded lesson that we carry for years. Our first lessons from our parents, our teachers, our families, and the society around us, they teach us a lot. And one of the things that comes down depends on the culture of the society, the country that we live in. And some of us in India are used to hearing this. At least my generation is used to hearing the sentence saying, never say no to an elder. You can't say no to your parents, grandparents, and whatever, whatever. There is a merit in it, and there is also a little bit of a challenge in it. Now, what is the merit? The question is, am I learning something when there is a no involved? So when I go up to my parent and say, what, I want to go out for a movie with my friends, and my mother or my dad says no, is there a reason behind it? They must have said with some wisdom, some experience, some kind of a reason, right?
Mhm.
Nobody says no just like that.
Okay.
So am I willing to learn? Similarly, when I go to my boss and I ask for leave and my boss says no, it hurts. I mean, it makes you angry. You ask me this question, and I'm sure all of us know that when you hear a no, you get agitated. There's a lot of feeling
Right.
which comes up.
Right.
But is there a reason? Is there something that the boss is trying to convey through that no? And that's important. The other side of the story is Yes, if your reasons are strong enough, if you have a reason which you can convince the other side with, maybe your parents, maybe your bosses, maybe your managers, then you have at least a fair chance of sharing your thoughts and explaining it to them and still going ahead with that no. See, let's understand one thing. No is a disagreement. There are two points of views here. I
Mm-hmm.
have one, you have one, and we obviously are not congruent on that. Therefore, there is a no involved, right?
Yeah,
And if you look at it, the first thing that worries us is who's the person talking to us.
that's
And
right.
very often the conditioning makes a big difference here. Is that my dad saying no to me? Is that my teacher saying no to me? Is that my principal or my boss or manager or my wife or my child? So a lot of it comes from there. But then the relationship being there, we still need to go one step deeper into it and understand what is the topic all about? Where is the disagreement coming from?
Yeah,
You know, if we understand that part, there will be feelings. But feelings, the good thing about feelings are these are momentary. They come and they go out. You don't stay in that feeling for 24 hours, 48 hours, unless you want to carry it as a chewing gum kind of a thing.
yeah,
But start a discussion. And if you understand the reasons, it's just a point of view that's not matching.
okay.
And we can always come to an agreement. So that's something which I find is again something one has to learn and practice, and that
Definitely.
helps. Probably I
Yeah,
can share a lot more on that, but that really helps. So conditioning matters a lot.
that's true. Like, also teaching your children to accept saying no, and listening to your children saying no to you is how you can build them up, right? And allow them to grow and flourish in the world beyond. So, definitely. And is there a way, say, people are conditioned, right? Now, how do we learn to uncondition ourselves or
Okay,
learn to say no now? That is a question a lot of people have asked, and let's let's talk about it.
sure. Um, see, I've been doing a good amount of research on this. I've been practicing it myself, and I share this, and I know it works. There are two elements to it. First is the process. Second is very important, the language.
Hmm.
Okay, and both are skills, both something which you can learn. So the first thing is step one is I see who is it coming from. Now this is assuming I'm saying something and the other person is saying no to it. Now obviously there's a disagreement. Who is it coming from? What is at stake in the relationship?
Okay.
And what is it I can really look at that and how do I take care of it? It is something which is very sensitive. I would
Yeah.
rather stay with the no and move ahead. But then the second part becomes important. What is the reason behind this? And that's when the language comes in now, which integrates with the whole process. So instead of saying, I don't like your no, I usually these days just saying, okay, is there an option? What do you have in mind? Is there something that you're trying to tell me? And
Hmm.
believe you me, it works. It works in a big, big way. It has happened with my closest of family members when I've suggested something in this. I mean, I'll tell you a very interesting story. It happened in the lockdown times, and there was a time when you know the young child came up and said, what's for dinner? And the mother said, well, we have these vegetables for dinner. And the first thing the child said is, no, I don't want to have these. Okay. The next day, something similar happened. And instead of saying no, the mother just asked, okay, what do you think are the options tonight?
Okay.
And that's when the child said, can I have bread instead? Can I have bread with some eggs instead? And yes, that's about it. It's just that a little switch and the problem was solved. Now, some people might counter saying, but then you did not really serve him the vegetables. Well, that's influencing. That comes up the other side of the story. But the point is, the first shock or the first reaction when you hear a no or you say no is usually something which we get bugged with.
That's right.
There are ways, and that's when the language matters. So there was another time when there was a very important workshop that I had to run, and I also had a call from my family in my native place in Bhubaneswar in Cuttack, where I had to, they wanted me to get back there quickly because somebody was not well,
Okay.
right? So one of them had to be a known, either the workshop and the client or the family and the medical condition.
That's right.
And obviously, one had to book the tickets and run, and it was a big, big
Yeah.
question. And we had the same question. All I was asking these two people was, is there an option? Is there some other way that we can manage this?
That's right.
Right? And options actually came out. And believe you me, I was actually in a different spin because the client said, hey, Saurabh, don't worry. We can have this next week.
That's right.
And the uncle who called me up saying, don't worry, it's all under control. You can join us day after. Now
Yeah.
look at this. From that worry that I carried, what do I do now? To actually the other way around, where both of them said, we'll take care of it, don't worry. Just
Yeah.
because I wanted to express that. And instead of going through this no thing, I just asked, what are the other options?
That's absolutely true. Yeah. Like just like you said, ask for options. No is not the end.
Absolutely.
When you say no to someone as well, you can ask how else can you, if there's a nice opportunity that you want to grab, ask how else can you approach that without going that way. Seek for options. Ask. There's a saying, ask and you will get it. Right?
Absolutely.
Just ask. Sometimes we struggle to ask. So pick up your shoes and just go and ask. I'm sure you will get an answer, you know, in a different way. Surely. I agree. Beautifully said, Saurav. And yeah, any questions the viewers have? Is there anything that you can see?
Krishna, while you look for questions, let me just add a little
Yeah,
bit to
sure.
the other side of it. We also need to understand when we say a no. I mean, I've said no to Leo many number of times. I've said no to
Hmm.
you, Krishna, many number of times. That
Right.
is not the end of the world or end of the relationship. The no was for a specific issue.
That's right.
There was something to be done. I said no. That's about it. That doesn't mean we start picking up a fight and hating each other, and going in two different directions. I'm sure that would have crushed this world long ago. We still have
Hmm.
our fights with our friends and continue. We still say no to our dear ones and still continue. That's the beauty of it. And a no actually brings in two new ideas. So instead of one idea being saying, this is the way to do it, there's always another idea. And
Definitely.
that's my perspective. And this is a skill which one can easily learn. One has to spend some time, practice, pick up that courage and take the first steps. Don't say no to your learning and you will learn.
Definitely. And like you said, it doesn't end relationships, and you have the courage. Take Start by saying no, or at least start by saying no to small things around you. Okay. Maybe some things, especially people who want to eat healthy food. Say you can start by saying no to junk food.
Absolutely.
Right? Start there and see how you feel when you do say no. When someone offers you lovely gulab jamuns and like one delicious cake, you can say no there, right? Because you know, right now I need to cut down on my sugar. Learn to say no. These small things, and then slowly build up. Definitely, I love how how your points make absolute sense to me. And surely, is there any recommendations you have to our viewers?
Okay. Very simple. Saying no is a part of our life. And like I said, we say no because there are pressures. There are times when we have to. Uh, the interesting thing is, one needs to just recognize the need himself or herself. Please understand it is your need, and you need to take the first decision here. You need to be very clear here. If your head and heart are in sync, then you can learn the skill and easily say no to anybody. Step one. Point number two, it's not the end of the world. Don't be under pressure. It's far easier to say no to certain things rather than saying yes and being crumpled by the pressure and the tension and the stress that you carry. And I'm sure all of us know this. On a weekend, for example, there are four people who want your time, and you're just struggling trying to juggle all these four. Not possible, not doable. You've got only one life, enjoy that. This is the bigger benefit. Point number three, which is what I was sharing, it is not the end of the world or relationship. And very important is to work around that. And trust me, people are open to suggestions and options. It's just that we need to experiment and explore that. Yes, always suggest options. Today, if let's say you call me saying, Saurav, can you do a session on saying no right now? Well, I may not be able to do it because there are other commitments on this Sunday. I might tell you, okay, let's do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday whenever you're free. And that opens up a new chapter, that opens up new possibilities.
That's
And which is
true.
why one has to be very clear. The last point is when people ask, and I'm sure you can try this experiment with your folks around you, try this experiment. When you ask or you present an idea to some people, quite often we hear this line saying, I don't like it. I don't want it. The question is, encourage someone to answer, so what do you like? What do you want? It's very easy to say, I don't want or I don't like. The question is that, what do you like? Say that. That's more important. Similarly, when I have to say certain things, it's very easy to say, you know what? I don't like to eat vegetables. I don't like to go to a particular place. I don't like to drive in the traffic jams of Bangalore. Fair enough. But what do you like then?
Yeah.
That's where the possibilities are. That's where the positives are. And that's where the solutions are. So if I say, you know what? I like to have fruits and I like to have my rice and dal. Good enough. The topic of vegetable will never come up. If I say I'll hire a cab and go, not drive, that's a solution.
True.
And that's what makes life interesting.
Yeah. Definitely. Lovely, I mean, beautifully said, Saurav. My question is, there are people who are scared to say no and end up ghosting or not saying anything. Uh, is there a is that a problem? Is that a situation which we can tackle?
Yeah. So when I hear you use the word when people are scared or afraid to say no, we all know there is a possibility that it is something which the person has been carrying for a long time, must have had some unpleasant experiences of having done this before and therefore is afraid. There's a feeling of fear which is coming up, possibly because something has had, possibly. So
Yeah.
that's something which one needs to look at. And therefore, we have these processes and other things to look at that part of it. If it is something which is coming up again and again, and especially if it's coming up specifically towards a particular person or a situation or a condition. For example, a lot of people actually I know are very scared of making presentations or public speaking, and
Mhm.
it happens again and again. So, is there a reason why they should go under pressure? No. And that's when this past is something which we need to handle. Maybe they went through something which was not pleasant, and that can be handled. So the fear could be probably, there was one particular teacher who used to beat me, left, right, and center when I was younger. Maybe that teacher I'm scared to say no to.
Yeah.
And that has to be handled. So if we know what this conditioning has been, if that's one way of doing it. But
Yeah.
having said that, if you go a little forward in time, uh, there are ways of breaking down the bigger problem into smaller ones and look at what exactly is worrying you or scaring you. It could be a priority. A lot of time people don't say no because they are scared that I might lose this person forever, or I might lose this job forever, or I might lose this situation forever.
Or
So
that
what are
relationship.
the
Yeah.
priorities that we have worked out? What are the other possibilities? What is at stake? And that's something which we need to be very sure of. So when you have one safety net, then it's far easier to say no. So think about your possibilities. Think about what can be done best if you ever get into this situation.
Yes. Surely. And I would also like to add that sometimes we've been running in our thoughts that we think there's a situation when actually there's nothing, right?
Absolutely.
We are scared to say no to a relationship or a proposal, thinking, oh my God, I might hurt someone. But the truth is, it's not there. So communicate. Ask, how can you possibly look at different ways? How can you build relationships or build your work projects or anything in a better way than saying yes, right? So don't keep dancing in your thoughts. Come down to
Absolutely.
reality and see how things work and take that courage. You can do
I'll
it,
just
man.
share a quick story here. This happened
Yeah,
to
sure.
me. I just started my career and I was very young and I had a boss. We used to go out after the lunch break for a walk. And the practice was he would pick up his cigarette and start smoking. And I'm talking about a good 25 years ago. So he would smoke. We used to have a walk. And I was not very comfortable with that. Being a passive smoker, I don't smoke, but being a passive smoker, this was terrible for me.
Yeah.
But he was the boss. And he was talking work. We were talking business. And we were taking a walk around the building. Can you imagine? I never paid attention to what was being discussed because I was worried. I
That's
was
true.
every time the lunch break, we were closer to the lunch break, I used to panic.
Hmm.
And it so happened that I actually started getting more and more worried. And then I attended one of these sessions and I read a lot about it. And I said, okay, let me try what is possible. So I broke up the problem into two parts, from the person to the issue on hand. I said, whoever the person may be, doesn't matter, because there are other friends and colleagues who also join in many times. So, notwithstanding who the person was, just requested him, saying, you know what, I'm fine to come with you for lunch. I'm okay with going for a walk as well. But I have a small request. Uh, can I be away from you when you smoke? I'm a little uncomfortable with that. And I'll join you again once the cigarette is over. The option that I gave him. Charisma, the word that I heard thereafter was magic to me. He said, Sarah, why didn't you tell me earlier? I thought you were okay with it, and therefore I never, kind of threw this out, though it had stuck his mind, but he thought I was okay with it, and we continued. It's just that I opened up, so did he, and he said, "Hey, I'm so sorry." And from being the boss that he was, you know, he actually became a very soft, nice colleague and a friend. He said, I'm so sorry to have done this to you for so much of time.
That's
And we had a great friendship thereafter. It took me that one jump from being silent to express myself.
yeah. And
That's all I'm saying. First here, then the words.
that's true. So reality, remember, to all our viewers, reality could be completely different. It's our thoughts, what they say, overthinking our maps. Our
Ah,
maps is what we perceive of the world, but reality is different. Yeah. So ask questions and speak what the reality is. Express what you feel and make others know your reality as well. Right? Sometimes there are so many situations we might be undergoing too much pressure, and someone asks, "Hey, can you do this small thing for me?" And it's silly, but you do not need more tension. So express your reality. Say that you've been through so much stress, you have so much going on. It's okay. It's okay to express how you feel. And don't take the, I mean, you don't have to take that entire load like a farmer. Just, uh, um, and just let it down.
absolutely.
Reality is, yeah, true.
Absolutely. I mean, let me just conclude by, quoting what I had read long ago and I learned and I practice it. It's all in the head. If you clear that up first, the rest is easy. The rest
Yes,
is just a skill. It's just something which you can learn. But this is something which each one of us has to take a responsibility and clear off. Whether I'll say no to, my clients or my boss, only I can do that. Nobody else can help me with it.
yes.
Similarly with Chrisma, I mean, the fact that Chrisma, you got up so early in the morning to be on this call without saying no, it was your responsibility. You
That's
agreed
true.
to it. Therefore, we went on. So each
That's
one
true.
have to first get it, sorted it out.
Yeah,
And then the rest is easy.
it is. It will be
It
easy.
will also help you. It's not that you can't. It's just that you have to be prepared to take the first step. You say no here, story ends. You say yes, possibilities open up.
Yeah, surely. And I guess that's it for today. Do comment below and let us know if you have any questions. And we'd love to hear your feedback on how this session was. Thank you so much, Saurav, for accompanying me for this live session. It was lovely. I enjoyed it. And thank you to all our viewers who've been watching and hitting that like button. And please do share it with your friends and family. We would really, really appreciate it. Is there anything you'd like to add to, Saurav?
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us and being a part of our journey. It's been a great pleasure and privilege. We're always happy to be associated. Uh, I mean, all of us in Exodia have learned that many times we say no, but most of the times when we reach out to you or the other way around, we say yes. Let's create a beautiful place. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you all, and bye bye.